James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Oh yeah. We packing somebody up tonight. Hey. Come on in, take your shoes off before we close the door. Few rules, heat packing the air, we about to blow. This the basement, ain't nobody safe, you already know. Grab a seat and kick your feet before you get too comfortable. You want the X's and the O's, the trade, yes and no, friends and the foes, the butlers and the heroes. You can feel it in your soul, but when the ring is the goal. But if somebody need to go, we be sure to let you know. Going hard for my dogs is an everyday thing, like Jimmy down the lane of 13 off the screen. Whole squad keep it tucked like number 17. Bring your takes and your memes, going hard for the team. Going down in the basement. It's going down in the basement. Get your takes off. Get your takes off. Going down in the basement.
Yeah! Welcome to the Basement Sports Network post-game show. Look, man, the Heat went to Mexico City. Half the roster ain't show up. So in that spirit, we decided to do the same thing. So it's just me and my dog Alex Sheltman today. And Alex, I think you and I are going to forego like the customary theatrics of the basement, and we're just going to like have a conversation about this game, and we're going to actually legitimately talk basketball. Now, if some hijinks bring themselves about, then they shall. But no, overall, like this was a solid game from a lot of players. And I do want to actually take some time breaking them down. So overall, give me your overall thoughts on the game before so we can get started.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed, obviously, through the first like 3.5 quarters, because like again, we're doing the same shit where we're just keeping it close with these trash ass teams that are actively tanking. And this was through like a good Bam performance, a good Tyler performance, a good Jimmy performance, you know. And then we sort of took it over in the fourth there, which was nice. But like we really got to start like killing these type of teams from the jump. Like, I don't want this shit to be close at half. I don't want this shit to be close ever. So, you know, it's a little disappointing, but at the end, you know, we did string it together, figured it out in the fourth, saw some shit from Duncan. Maybe we'll get to that later in the show, but yeah, I mean, we got 4 wins on a road trip where we were supposed to get 4 wins. So that was what we talked about coming into this road trip. And that's, yeah, we definitely took a Cancun trip, but that was what we talked about coming into this road trip. Right. And that was the biggest thing, was getting that 4 wins, because you really could not afford to drop a single loss to any of these teams.
Yeah. Prior to coming into this game, we had talked about this being like one of the easiest stretches, probably the easiest stretch of the season, where Miami could kind of figure some shit out, turn it around. And that essentially what this game kind of looked like in parts. Like you said, like it still was an amalgamation of the same things that we've been watching all season long, but it, like, we saw our 3 best players essentially play well at the same time. And then we saw Duncan come back and get some life, like you mentioned too. So let's break them down. Maybe let's not do that. So Tyler started at point. All right. And so I want you to evaluate Tyler's game as a point guard, because I saw some mixed reviews on the timeline where it was like, you know, he was doing I just want to hear your thoughts on how Tyler played as a point.
Yeah, I think he's still trying to figure that role out for himself a lot, and people like to go all in one way or the other on Tyler. I'm still in the camp where it's just like he's still really young. There's a lot of room to grow, and he's still going to make like these stupid ass mistakes as he puts himself in situations that he doesn't do frequently. And one of those things is play the point. You know, you saw like the 2-man game he had with Bam. That they clearly have a connection there in some, you know, pick and roll type of action and that type of stuff. But, you know, you also saw him yeet the ball into the third row into the stands and, you know, toss some absolute garbage when, you know, other actual point guards would probably do the right thing. But I think it's an overall good game for Tyler at the point. I think he had like 4 or 5 turnovers, but like, again, he doesn't play that position. I don't think he is a point guard. Maybe he can be that in the future. But right now he's clearly not that, and he needs more reps if he's going to end up being that in the future, which, you know, maybe if Kyle Lowry ends up seeing his way into a trade, we might have that.
No, that's not a thing. So Tyler's not going to be a point guard of the future, and you don't have to mute your mic. It's only two of us. Like
Force
we're
out
just talking. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to be. I don't think Tyler being a point guard is going to be the thing. I think what people should be taking away from this game is his maturation as a playmaker, and that's kind of what you're alluding to when you're talking about there are going to be some highs and lows in that regard. I think one of the things I think Siobhan from Heat Beat was talking about it on the timeline. One of the problems that I have with Tyler's playmaking is that a lot of times he spends a lot of time pounding the ball, and then with like 2-3 seconds left on the shot clock, he dishes it to somebody else like really quickly and putting a lot of players in a bad position. Like, is that something that you've seen a little bit of? Like, how do you fall on that situation?
Yeah, I feel like it comes back to like that maturation that you're talking about, because like he's not used to being in that position. So I feel like if he's not breaking down the defense from the start of the shot clock, then he just doesn't really know what to do, which is kind of like you would expect that, right? Like he's not supposed to be that type of. Yeah, I mean, usually he does, right? Like usually he takes, and he did that today too, where he took a lot of ill-advised dumbass shots, which is, that's the bad side of Tyler that we need to see less of. And, we got the great Tyler the last two games. So, he had a good game again today. It wasn't clearly even close to the last two games, of course. But it was still a very solid game. I think this might honestly be like Tyler's best 3-game stretch maybe ever in his career. Because he had, those 2 elite games. And then this was like a very solid game, even though he shot the ball like not great. He was still like very active. He had that absolutely fabricated foul on Jacob Podol, which is a fucking clean block, by the way.
So DPO why Tyler showed up in that play right there.
Absolutely.
I am not a big fan of Tyler Herro.
I didn't get that. Did you try again?
My bad. This new Apple Watch Series 8 that I just picked up today, showing out. Be quiet now. Don't listen to me on the post-game show. But no, that was an absolute block by Tyler Herro on Jakob Porto. And I think that he wasn't great on defense. I don't want to pretend like that was the case, but he was absolutely better on defense than he had been, and he found a way to kind of contribute on that end. I want to thank Brian with the $4.99 dono. He said, how would y'all like Lowry and the draft pick for both Bojan in Detroit? Are we giving away the pick, or are we getting a pick? Like, if we have to pay
if we're giving a pick, yeah, hell no.
I'm not doing it. But if we're getting a pick, which we wouldn't, but yes, I would do it in that regard. But I don't understand why they would take Lowry and they have Cain, maybe as a mentor. But no, speaking of defense, I want to talk about Victor Oladipo. We're not going to go in the order of like the best players, but I just kind of I want the conversation to go where it goes. Defensively, Victor Oladipo was fucking amazing tonight. I think he ended the game with like 5 steals. Let me check. Yeah, he ended the game with 5 steals. The playmaking, the offense is some stuff that's going to come eventually. But tonight we got it was essentially a defensive masterclass from Victor Oladipo. Tell me what you saw from him on that side of the ball.
I mean, I'm going to make maybe a little bit of a hot take. I think Debo is the second best defender on this team behind Bam, ahead of Jimmy, honestly. I think his defense is like, I mean, that's why I said it could be a little hot take. His ball hawking, like on ball defense, is generationally good. Like, I feel like every time he presses up on someone, he could potentially just pick their pocket and, we get a fast break and transition out of it. But like, it's stunning how good he is on that end, and also stunning how bad he is pulling up from anywhere on the court. Like, he is terrible shooting the ball, and I want to see more more actions where he's attacking the rim. I know he doesn't really have the same athleticism, of course, since of all of the injuries. But the offense, like you said, I think it will come in a little bit. I just don't think he's that type of player anymore. Depot's starting at point guard. I just don't think they're going to take it away from Lowry ever. I think it's just, it's a, you're
I'm not gonna let you like skedaddle out of here with calling Victor Oladipo a better defensive player than Jimmy. Why did you say that? What is?
I think if it feels like in the minutes that he plays defensively, they are just so much like there's so much value and impact. He goes from like a absolute net negative of a player between like his health and his offensive skill set currently to someone like, if I'm a championship contending team and I acquire Victor Oladipo at the deadline, that man is going to potentially help win me a championship because of his ability to be a ball hawk on defense. And
so here's my little bit of pushback is that we get better defensively with Vic on the court, no doubt. But is that because Vic is so elite defensively, or our other defensive players at point of attack are so bad that by comparison, Victor Oladipo is an elite defender like that? So he raises the floor for us defensively for sure, but the other guys definitely drop the floor.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I do think he just brings way more from a point of attack standpoint. Like, I'd have to look at all of the numbers and shit, but like he's doing just so much more than what Kyle and Gabe and anyone else that plays, the one.
We all don't want to get too far off though. We're comparing him to Jimmy's impact on the thing. So we're talking about Jimmy Butler. Like we got to give Jimmy his props in this argument where Jimmy is, I believe, one of, if not the best off-ball defender in the league.
No, I agree. Jimmy, I'm just saying, what I'm saying basically is, I guess minute for minute, maybe it's close, right? Like, I'm not willing to die on the hill that Vic is a better defender than Jimmy. But minute for minute, it just feels like Vic's defensive impact is above Jimmy's because you're only getting like 18 to 20 minutes of him. And in those 18 to 20 minutes, you're getting like a full game's worth of defense, it feels like.
But again, when you drop off from Jimmy, then the people behind him are capable defenders, like Caleb, like shameless. He even if he's terrible, he's a solid, capable defender. So you drop off from Jimmy to the next guy behind him isn't as precipitous as it is between Victor Oladipo and Kyle Lowry.
Yeah. No, and you're absolutely right. Like his counterparts that he's gonna get compared to, he's light years beyond them because of how bad they are. So it's like it's a two-way street, right?
This is also a good point from Caleb. You're also getting lazy Jimmy. Like, so you're not always getting the best version of Jimmy defensively.
Vic is earning his spot through his defense. Jimmy is just like, I don't feel like it today. I'm not going to do it. And that's, that's just Jimmy.
So I guess we got to see them like bar for bar when they're both giving it some effort. Check Depot plus today. Victor Oladipo was a -2 plus/, if that's what the stat that you were talking about. I want to thank my dog Heather. First of all, I want to thank my dog Heather for the $4.99 dono. She said, this motherfucker says second in defense after that motherfucker been chilling for 2 years. We just skipping over Jimmy and Caleb. I'm not a fan. That's actually a bar. So like to plateau Victor Oladipo over Caleb Martin, which I know is kind of her overarching point because she's a Caleb stan, that's not as big of a leap as it is to jump him over Jimmy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I'll lose the Depot versus Jimmy defensive argument. I'll be like, okay, that's fine. You can have that one. Depot's better than Caleb defensively, and I'm staying on that.
That's something that I can agree with you on. But to Caleb's point, Caleb deserves to be mentioned in this conversation.
Yeah,
in terms of
he's
like
a plus
better
defender. Absolutely,
he's absolutely. Belinsky Pierre, thank you for the $1.99 donut. He said Depot has been big, low key. Told y'all, man, good win. Not for sure. Like Depot has been very good for us since he came back. The only question about Depot was not whether or not he would be able to come back capable of playing. It'll be how many games of Depot are we going to get? Health is the only issue with Depot. Yurt's not even a basketball player at this point in lanes, but like he don't play for this team. So since we did kind of hit on Jimmy, I want to talk about Jimmy because in the first half, Jimmy wasn't great. He was solid, not great. But in the second half, when the team seemed like it was reeling, Jimmy took it upon himself to be like, yo, fuck this. I'm not losing to the Spurs. And he just kind of put his head down and did Jimmy things, going to the basket, kind of playing running back at on the basketball court. What did you see from Jimmy tonight that you liked?
I mean, I feel like I say it every time I'm with you. We talk out of the stream and shit. Like Jimmy does not care for the first half of any game ever. And my biggest thing, and I'm always talking about it, is like you gotta be here for the team. I don't want you to be a distributor. I want you to go put up 30 on the Spurs. Like just do it effortlessly. I don't need one half of Jimmy Butler, the facilitator, and one half of Jimmy Butler, I'm gonna run it down their throat type of game, like play style. Just do it, mix it through the game, throughout the game. It opens up stuff more when you have to keep them guessing on what you're going to do. If the first half of every game is just Jimmy passing consistently, then teams are just going to go into the game and be like, oh, Jimmy's tendencies are just to pass every single first half. And then the second half, he's more aggressive. So they're going to game plan around that. Like he needs to bridge them together and spread out what he's doing. That way it creates a more dynamic offense because we don't have other guys that can do what Jimmy can do in creating a shot for himself and other people.
So, but to that end, though, should he have to do that against the Spurs? Like, I think
no,
like
but we're at a point in the season where like it is like we're that fucking bad. We have to have him do it versus Spurs.
Yeah, but this is my thing though. Like, if Jimmy can go into a game versus the Spurs and be like, "All right, I'm going to pass the ball around, see who else has it going," then okay, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm not gonna kill him unless he's doing that the entire game. While like to me, this game didn't feel like other games where Jimmy just kind of coasted through the whole thing, whether we win or lose, like something he don't care. This game felt like it was like, okay, there's a point that I'm trying to pass, shit's not working. I'm going to switch it up. And then I'm going to go and I'm finna take this upon myself to do it. And I'm fine with that. He still ended the game, 26 points, 10 free throw attempts. That doesn't show a lack of aggression or anything like that. But like, so I guess I don't understand entirely why you want him to play that style of ball the whole game.
I'm tired of the 2 field goal attempts in the first quarter, no free throw attempts in the first quarter, Jimmy Butler. Like I think he had 4 field goal attempts at half and maybe 2 free throws at half. Like the predominant attack came in the third and the fourth quarter from Jimmy, and it worked. It worked. And you're absolutely right. He should be able to just fuck around versus the Spurs, except we are so dog shit. Otherwise, he can't. And so like we saw this earlier in the year when Bam and Tyler were out and he took 8 field goal attempts. Stop getting the fucking bums involved. Take over the game. And he had an excellent game today. Absolutely. No disputing that. I just want to see more aggression early. He had one game earlier this year, I forget which game it was, where he had, I think, 14 in the first quarter. Do that. Do that. Mix in the passing later.
I think to ask Jimmy to do that, like out the gate of
doesn't have to be every night, but maybe give me 8 points.
Against the Spurs, though, I don't feel like this should be one of the nights that I have to do this. Look at Donato with the bullshit ass comment. He talking about something, y'all the best duo since Luke Babbitt and Really Reed. You know, the fact that we have to be a duo makes me think that we should reopen these basement applications to get some more people in here to replace your motherfucking ass as a form of insurance, like the primary sponsor of the Basement Sports Network, Simple Health Advisors. Ladies and gentlemen, insurance does not need to be complicated. Make sure you give our guy James Poe a call at 321-345-7738 or email him at jpoe@Simple Health Advisors and ask him about all the wonderful packages that he can help you out with. Make sure you tell him that the basement sent you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Chorus, for the $5. I appreciate the love, my boy. Thank you, Chorus, for the $5 dono. He said, Jimmy been playing the same way for 5 years. He's not going to change. He delivers when it counts. Save Jimmy needs. I think that's where I'm at, bro. Like, we can't ask Jimmy to exert all these energies. Like, I think I would prefer your method in, like, the higher stake game. So, in the games against the Bostons, the games where we're trying to measure ourselves against some of the better competition in the league, I would like to see Jimmy kind of do that. But games against the Spurs, I don't give a mother fuck like how Jimmy Butler goes about his business.
Like I'm with you, right? Like if we could go into a Spurs game, what was it like? It was tied like going into the fourth, or we had like a 2-point lead or something like going into the fourth. If we could go into the Spurs game up 10 going into the fourth with Jimmy playing that more passive style, I'm on board. Like you got me on your team on that one. And Jimmy should be more aggressive towards these bigger teams. Like we cannot lose these games that should be free, and we cannot keep having these close games against these teams that we should be beating, like the mediocre teams and the actively tanking teams, because the more we do that, you're gonna position yourself in the playoffs where you're playing the Bucks or the Celtics in round 1, and you're going to fucking hate that shit.
You gonna get your ass beat in 4 or 5 games.
So we need Jimmy to show up during some of these less significant games because for whatever reason, we can't fucking win them easily. And, you know, the more of those we throw away, not going to be good.
Well, the reason is because finally after 31 games, the Heat are above 500. And so they have shown you what they are. They are a fucking 500 team. They are a 500 ball club. And so that's an average team. And great. Like we've called them dog shit throughout the year, whatever, like tongue in cheek. But in reality, they are an average team. They could be a good team, but they haven't shown that. So you can't like just assume that they are. And I don't know, like I think if we were a better team, if we had like we're a lock to make the playoffs, then Jimmy Butler should absolutely take into consideration what you're saying. I think he knows this season is a throwaway. Like I think a lot of people are beginning to see that this is a throwaway season where you're not really going to compete, and so he's in a tough spot, just like the Heat are. Like, does he waste a year of his prime intentionally? Does he try to save his body throughout the course of this season to make a one last push next year? Like that's kind of where my head is taking me. I want you to think about that too while I read this dono. Thank you, Brian, for the $9.99 dono. He said, I'm not sure about the exact trade details for Bojan. Said, but I just don't want Lowry on this team because at this point in his career, one off night, he has zero value basically. Them hit-ahead passes overrated. First of all, them hit-ahead passes, he be out there trying to kill fucking Jimmy. He turns Jimmy into Randy Moss every time he throws one of them shits. I'm convinced because of Kyle Lowry that Jimmy Butler can play wide receiver in the NFL. And he could be an all-pro too. Because Kyle Lowry overthrows that man every day. Again, my boy Brian hitting me with $9.99 one more time. About to make me come out this sweater. Don't give me too much money, bro. I start stripping for people, bro. That's just the way it is. He said, and y'all kind of explain my other reason for Bojan. The way I see it, Jimmy going to be a dog in the postseason as usual, and maybe Bam steps up. But I don't believe in Herro come playoffs, to be honest. That's fair. Like, that's kind of why it's kind of – we already talked about Herro, right? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it's kind of why my analysis on Herro just kind of like flatlines sometime throughout the course of the season. It's because at this point, like I know he's a capable regular season player, but for like what is expected of him, he needs to be more than that. And so it's an unfair way to judge somebody throughout the course of the year. But from game to game, like I have to look at it like that. Because in the overarching picture, all this shit can get me excited to be let down again in the postseason, and I just can't deal with that. Brian, again, giving me money. Let me take a sleeve off for you, bro. I know what you want. Don't worry about it. Keep giving me money. I'm gonna give you what you need. With the $4.99 dono, he said that Jimmy would be able to BS games when he wanted to with another 20-point score like Bojan. He said, I'm a little behind on the video, so I'm just typing. No, I feel you, bro. Bojan is also a terrible defender, so we would take a massive step back in that direction if we got that man, and he would be our starting four. So you take away Caleb, who's a plus defender, put in Bojan next to Lowry and Kyle and Tyler in the starting lineup, and now you only have Jimmy and Bam as your two defenders in your starting lineup. So you kind of put yourself like, yeah, what you gain in offense, you lose in defense. I don't remember the question that I was asking because I had to talk for a long time, but
it was about Jimmy saving his body potentially for next year type of deal.
Yeah, like where do you fall? Where do you fall in line with that? Like, would you still, considering what I was saying about Jimmy knowing this is a throwaway season, do you still want Jimmy to just kind of go balls to the wall and like at any point in the season?
No. If this team does actively decide, which it won't, but if it does actively decide like this season is chalked and we're just packing it in type of deal, I don't want Jimmy to see the court ever. Game manage him the rest of the season. He's got knee soreness. Fuck it. I think he might have like some cartilage in his knee that needs a little repair.
That's a fair question. That's a fair point too.
Yeah. I mean, we're running like the Jimmy Butler timeline is essentially gone. And I've been saying this for a while now. Like the window on the Jimmy timeline is closed. And I've been preaching that this needs to be the Bam timeline from here on out. So for me, I'm on board of moving away from Jimmy Butler, but that's a discussion for another day. But assuming we're going to keep him, which they will, I would prefer them to just completely throw away this season. Put yourself in a position where you can maybe get yourself into a higher draft pick, and then you can see if resting Jimmy and Bam is a real thing. It's not going to happen, so it's just like we're sort of just making shit up at this point.
Yeah, we got to recruit, Alex. We got to recruit live from across the pond. We got my boy British George in the house. George, boy, mate.
He almost threw it up.
He was hyping me up. I was getting excited. What do you want me to fucking do? I can't do nothing. Need to travel slow across the pond. I'm here to save the show. I'm here.
We appreciate you, George.
Wait, we won?
The show does not go on without you.
No,
Hey,
we won.
hey, no, we were
George, you
actually
showed
having
up
regular-
and Star Fox 85 is going to bed.
George, we were actually having like a regular basketball conversation, so we're gonna continue that trend. We're foregoing the shenanigans tonight.
Okay.
But so speaking of foregoing shenanigans, Duncan Robinson forewent. Is that the past tense of forego? Forewent. I don't know. So Duncan Robinson forewent his normal shenanigans and decided to be the old Duncan Robinson. Like he was good tonight, George. And I want you to talk about kind of like some of the things that he did tonight.
Look, anything that's not a like 2 of 11 night for him is a good night. That's what we're going to be aware of.
Fine.
He's had some of the worst basketball stretches we've had, but 2 out of the last 3 games, he's been okay. I won't even lie. 4 of 8 both times. You know, it's been kind of refreshing to have someone else off the bench that is actually going to give you something, and it's insane. Please do it. I'm just trying to make something up here. I'm hoping that mid-conversation they trade him for something, but they won't. I was talking to someone yesterday, and he's a very I'm trying to get him cancelled, all right? I'm trying to get him out of here. Let's stretch that contract. It's impossible to have someone like that on the bench that you're paying all this money to and not want him to play as much as you know. I don't want him to play at all. But at the same time, it's $18 million fucking dollars sitting there. You want him to do something. You need him to do something. So the problem with him is when he has one of those nights, 2 of 11 nights, it's head in the hands. I'm surprised he even played today after that performance yesterday. Him and Strus yesterday, they combined for, oh my God, Strus had a positive plus minus. It's beautiful. We actually cooked a bad team.
Strus wasn't great. He was fine, but not. I don't know. I'm mixed on what I saw from Strus tonight, but I do want to stick to Duncan when I'm talking to you, Alex. To George's point, Duncan did start the first half like he was going to give us one of them old classic Duncan games. I think he had like 3 fouls in 8 minutes or something like that.
I wish I was as good at anything as Duncan Robinson is at stepping on the court and picking up 3 fouls, man. It's an art.
Is next level. You hear me? In terms of being able to do that. But at the second half is kind of when he really kind of shined bright. His shot started hitting. Highlights, I can think of 2 plays in particular that kind of stood out to me. Of course, the and one three-pointer. And then it was when 2 people flew at him for the ball, and then he got the little pocket pass to Bam for the dunk. So those 2 plays kind of stuck out to me as things that we know Duncan is capable of because we saw them before. And that I was all right with seeing him get those things going again. I don't care for Duncan. I don't care if he plays or not. But he played, and he played well, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He had that dribble handoff with Bam, brought me back to some good old times. Immediately followed that up with a complete air ball, brought me back to current times. He drove to the lane, bricked a little floater, but Bam yammed it back home. So I'll give him the assist on that one. Put that in the stat sheet. Fuck it. But yeah, I mean, Duncan was good tonight. He was trash the other night, but he was good the night before. Let's see him string together 2 or 3, maybe. I don't know. Get him the fuck out of here. Keep that trade value high. Like you said, I'm over Duncan, right? Like we've talked about him relentlessly at this point. He's just ass. Like he's a specialist. He's an overpaid specialist. If he's not hitting his threes, he's worthless as a player. So, good night. Cool.
Yeah. Let's talk about other Duncan, Max Strus, George. I don't know. Was this a good or a bad night for Max Strus? Because I don't know.
Relative to what he's been giving us recently, it's a good night. It's a good night relative to what we've seen. When he's shot chucking, which he does a lot, it's a completely mental game with him. I don't think that he'll stop shooting ever. If the ball's in his hands, you better believe he's gonna pull up from 3 or he's gonna try the dribble drive. He's gonna try something. I love that about him. That's why I love someone with that tenacity. When you're getting paid close to nothing to do something and you're trying to get paid to do something, you need to go as hard as possible. Max Robinson. That's the name of my gardener. I'm not even going to kid you.
He's Duncan's son.
My gardener?
Yes.
Fucking hell. What's he doing here? Send him away so he can pursue his basketball dreams. But one thing like I said, we've actually seen a really consistent sort of brand of Max, and that's they're going to play him 27, 28 to 30 minutes a night. He's consistently getting those minutes everywhere. The one thing I do want to say as well is when he starts to hit shots, the rest of his game across the board elevates. I'm talking his defense, his playmaking, everything goes up. He's a confidence player. If you can get him going early, he will get you as much as you want throughout the game. And we see that through playoff runs, and we saw that through everything. He's a hot player. But when he's missing, get him the fuck off the court because he will chuck up 11
he's
shots.
A hot player. Pause, George.
Okay. Can I also bring up something as well? Why in the game when we're versing the San Antonio Spurs do we have a 38-minute Tyler Herro game, 36 minutes from Bam, and 35 minutes from Jimmy, and then a 33 Victor Oladipo game?
Because we're missing Caleb Martin, we're missing Kyle Lowry.
This is when Orlando Robinson should be playing 15 minutes.
So let's get into that a little bit. I'm sorry that you're not going to talk about Max Strus, but I think George gave a sufficient enough answer for one stream. Let's talk about this Orlando Robinson thing right quick, because Dewayne Dedmon, prior to him getting injured, was fucking ass. And when Orlando Robinson came in, he was not terrible. And yet it still felt like Dewayne Dedmon is going to be ahead of Orlando Robinson on this team's depth chart. Alex, do you have any kind of rationale as to why that is?
Spo is on crack. I don't know. Dewayne Dedmon is the most sorry ass excuse for an NBA player I've seen maybe since Shameless Highsmith earlier this year. But prior to that, it's been a fucking minute. Cause he stepped on the court tonight and the Spurs went on a 19-0 run.
In how? 3 minutes, bro. In how? 3 minutes, bro.
You could luck your way into a fucking fast break layup. What is this guy doing out there frequently? I do not understand why he continues to get minutes at all over anybody else. I don't care if we have to play small without Bam. It's going to be the same result as Dewayne Dedmon stepping on the basketball court. I don't care if Orlando Robinson has brick for hands. He's at worst the same as Dewayne Dedmon. Put someone else out there just to give me some fucking mental clarity and break. Because at this point, you are killing me emotionally, physically. The life is being drained out of me every time Dewayne Dedmon steps on the basketball court. It's offensive at this point. Spo should be arrested by Interpol since we're in a different country today for even playing him 7 minutes. I don't care.
Interpol?
I don't even know.
You know what Interpol
but
is.
It's like the CIA for the international countries or whatever. Put Spo in jail the next time he puts Dewayne Dedmon on the court.
This is, in all seriousness as well, what is he expecting from him? Because it's not like a player from
Dewayne Dedmon.
Because if you're going to play a player minutes, big minutes like that, if you play him 15 to 8 to and more than the other significant backup that you got on the team, what are you expecting? Because it's not like he's going to.
You're expecting him to know the system. You're expecting him to be where he's supposed to be. I think Dewayne Dedmon is a smart basketball player who does stupid things. Dewayne Dedmon, he knows where he's supposed to be. His body just can't get there.
He sniffs glue, bro.
If I see one more turnaround, fadeaway, free throw line jumper.
Hey now, listen, if we gonna take Tyler Herro shot selection, then y'all gonna take Dewayne Dedmon's.
But Tyler at least gives me other shit.
He makes JaVale McGee look like Kareem. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
he makes me look like Kareem.
All I'm saying is I'm not going to be. I'm not going. I'm with you, George. Fuck it. But no, I'm not going to be the pro Dedmon guy on this show. That's not what this is going to turn into. However, I will say that there are some advantages to having a veteran in the lineup. Jimmy may be more comfortable than Dewayne Dedmon. than he is with Orlando Robinson, and that could be a big reason as to why Dedmon's out there. Like, I don't, but personally, I don't understand it.
If that's the case, then that just makes me want to trade Jimmy even more because his player evaluation is apparently just dog shit too. So do not like Dewayne Dedmon, Jimmy. That's the clear answer here. I don't care if you can't figure it out with Orlando Robinson. Figure it the fuck out.
No, that's another, but that's fair. But there's another one like the Jovic situation, still mind-boggling. I thought he was okay. In his initial stint, I thought he played solid defensively. Like, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. There was a possession where he looked like he was lost in space out there. But, like, overall, I think, hey, what the hell, Lynette? What's up, Miss Lynette? He said he ankle sprain was a blessing in disguise. Tabernacle, Miss Lynette. Yes, it was. You don't respect Alex. It don't matter if you don't respect him. He's here.
Yeah, I don't care.
Have to deal with him. Exactly. That's why he's here. Thank you, Brian, for the $9.99. Don't know. He said just caught up with y'all responses. Don't strip, Royal. I'm just saying. It's about 30 bones it's about 35 that you in for tonight, my boy. You getting something. He said, I know we're gonna step back. We're gonna take a step back defensively, but I'm so tired of seeing Jimmy carry with no help. Rather sacrifice some defense with this roster. This roster don't have much defense to sacrifice to begin with, my boy. And that's just like they don't have much defense. They're a limited team. And I just want to make sure that we keep it in perspective. That trade that you're proposing, they will still be a limited team. Like, it doesn't drastically shift the pendulum in any way or any direction to help us get out of there. But yeah, I do want to talk about Jovic, George. Like, is Jovic a similar situation to Robinson where there's that Spo may just have an affinity for other players playing, or is it something that he's doing that's keeping him off of the court?
I think it's the latter. He's not doing anything to get himself. Jesus, mother of God. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything wrong to not get him on this team. The fact of the matter is it's the same reason why Duncan's still getting minutes. It's the same reason why Dedmon's still getting minutes. It's the same reason why Caleb Martin still plays all these minutes. You know, I mean, apart from tonight. But I think that it's because other players have been paid. They've been brought in to do a job. Jovic has to genuinely, and this is a direct quote from Spo as well, genuinely can, work up to the minutes. He needs to earn those minutes, every single one of them. You know, because, look, do I agree with it? I would bench the shit out of fucking Duncan and Dedmon ages ago, but I'm not a coach. I think that you still have to play him and you still have to give him the ability to shine and to earn those minutes. You know, if you want to do it in the practice facility, you're only going to get so much. You know, the guy barely speaks English as well. They're trying to teach him sets and plays, and he's just going, shoot, ball, a ball. That's all he knows.
George, you barely speak English, and we let you get on the streaming network.
But this is the difference. This is what's beautiful about the basement. Like, he's afraid to use rookies. You abuse us. You chuck us in there. You throw us this shit.
Speaking of the rookies, want to shout out Cain Justin in the background on the ones and twos. The only one that showed up for me. But you're right. I do throw y'all ass out there in the deep end. You motherfuckers with host shows out here. I don't give a fuck.
If you had the heat, you'd have Jovic playing 43 minutes a night. You would have 60. It's like 40-something minute.
Be out here telling all the black players they can take all the time off they want. Don't care. Like, oh, y'all going out there. Y'all carry the team until they ready to play. Like, that's how to be. No, I'm fucking with that though. Either way, yeah, I think 40 minutes is a pretty solid length of time for us to talk about this game between the three-man team. Let's go on to this next game. We got the Chicago Bulls. We get a 3-day break. Are we going to Chicago? No, I think Chicago comes to Miami.
Yeah, good.
That is good because Chicago has been terrible against like solid teams. Yeah, like
I'm not even worried about that.
But then again, we did come into the season thinking that Chicago was going to be bad, and then they beat us. So like, we thought we kind of almost guaranteed ourselves that win.
That was game one of the
season. Either way, don't matter. They still won. Oh yeah, it's time to get up out of here because the Dolphins game on. Yeah, but George, the boy feeling good?
Fuck yeah. We're in a roll. We're in a roll now. We're a Tyler Herro, baby.
What is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 out of our last 6, George, and 4 in a row. Longest win streak of the season.
I'm looking. Tyler Herro's been playing really well, and that's why we've been winning. These numbers are off the fucking charts right now. Off the charts.
Okay, look, Tyler Herro has been playing well. He's not the reason that we've been winning.
Right, there's multiple.
He's a reason.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And tonight, I don't know how much. I ain't gonna do it. Be good, Royal. The Dolphins game is on. Let's get this show over with. Alex, the boy feeling good?
The boy's feeling mid right now.
Feel
like
good,
look, we did what we were supposed to do, right? I need to see consistent strings of wins versus teams that are, good teams. We're supposed to be beating these teams. I don't care if we're on the road. We're still supposed to be beating these teams, and we're supposed to be beating them by more than 3 points every single night. And, we did that today, which is nice. But at the same time, like, the Bulls are coming in. They're not a good team either. We should be beating them. I don't want to see a close game. I want to see them win convincingly. And then when we go to the next game where you're against the Nets or the Cavs or the Suns, I want to see them compete night in, night out versus these good teams. And I want to see them win against good teams. So, it's good that they are winning right now. But I'm not quite there yet. I need to be won over through other means. And that's, against these better teams.
Fuck what you talk about. The Heat about to blow that shit out. Fuck wrong with you? No, I don't need to see nothing. I have already seen it. Okay? Bam. 40. Fuck is you talking about? Tyler Herro, 21. Don't care how many points he scored. Jimmy, 40.
Injured.
Oh, yeah. Game off. So that means Caleb Martin, 40.
40 minutes. Highsmith.
Oh. The Heat about to get their hands blown out if Haslem play 40 minutes. No, but legitimately, I think what you're starting to see now is a team that's gaining confidence. They may be an average team, which is what I believe they will end up being, but does not mean like a 500 record. I just believe that they're an average team. Playoff team, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
Contender, absolutely not. Like, that's not what they are. That's not what it would be.
It's good to get that, get some of these issues out of the way versus these bad teams, right? Like, correct yourself against these bad teams. So when you go against the big guns, you have something to show for it. And so, like, seeing the progression from Bam, seeing the progression from Tyler, that's good. Let's see it in the playoffs. Let's see it versus some of these better opponents.
Are we turning into the Clippers? Is this what this is? Are we in danger of turning into
our star plays most of the season? Are we in danger of
turning into the Clippers? Close, but
no.
That's it.
The Clippers can still win the title.
Right. The Clippers.
I'm talking about Clippers back with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
That Clippers team could win the title too.
That Clippers team was a perennial like actual threat to win. We're not a threat to win. We're not right now. We're not a threat to win right now.
In the past,
we were a threat to win, but right now I think currently we aren't. But this is an average team to the greater point, and I think people should look at this team like an average team. And they went from being shit to being average. So this 4 out of 6 or this 5 out of 6 game win streak. This is okay. I'm sorry, Justin. I'm from landing the plane, bro. This is them going from shit to average, and I think like average is where we should leave our expectations. Where they can win some games, but we shouldn't expect them to beat like bad teams consistently, or we should probably never expect them to blow them out. Like, that's just the realistic take. All games are going to be hard wins for us, but we are capable of winning hard games because we put ourselves in that position all the time. So anyways, I know we got a lot of Dolphins fans in here, including Justin, who's trying to get the fuck up out of here. So thank you guys in the comments as always for joining the show, making it much more fun than it would have been without you. Thank you to the boy Alex Sheltman for deciding to show up to work before the game even came. And shout out to the boy George, who usually when he tell me gonna show up, don't show up. And then didn't tell me that he was going to show up and showed up today. But I appreciate you for rounding out the 3-man weave that we had going on here. Follow them boys on Twitter. Follow Alex Sheltman at Alex Sheltman. Follow George at X Heat Lifer. And don't follow me at all. Unfollow me if you do follow me because I hate your guts anyway. We'll see y'all next time. Play the video, Justin.
Oh yeah, we packing somebody up tonight. Hey, come on in, take your shoes off before we close the door. Few rules, heat packing the air, we about to blow. This the basement, ain't nobody safe. You already know. Grab a seat and kick your feet before you get too comfortable. You want the X's and the O's, the Trey, yes and no, friends and the foes, the Butlers and the Herro. You can feel it in your soul. So when the ring is the goal, but if somebody need to go, we be sure to let you know. Going hard for my dogs is an everyday thing, like Jimmy down the lane of 13 off the screen. Whole squad keep it tucked like number 17. Bring your takes and your memes, going hard for the team. Going down in the basement. It's going down in the basement. Get your takes off. Get your takes off. Going down in the basement.